Hey y'all. Oh, today I am sharing a little bit of fruit with you guys. These are some of my favorite fruits to snack on. And I have been snacking on them. This is not the first time this has been opened, but I have some leftover pineapple, which I love pineapple, raspberries, blueberries, red anjou pear. Yeah, I think that's I think that's it. And some little cuties. But let's see. And I was gonna put my berries in a bowl. Okay. These are the colossal blueberries too. I like those. Let's smell these later if I want. But I've got quite a lot of fruit here, so. I did not want to stop eating my raspberries last night, but I don't want to fall apart. I hope you guys are doing good. I've obviously not been doing too great lately, but I'm hanging in there. I had a couple of bad ones on the bottom. I was trying to avoid those. It's hit or miss if you get a good thing of berries. But there we go. Let me see if I can move those off screen. There we go. Anyway. The tropical fruits tend to be my favorite. Wish they cut them just a little bit smaller. Smaller. Duh. I already got it in my teeth. Let me even do this. Dang, really? Oh, God, it's so good. So yesterday I bought some groceries. I got a whole bunch of fruit. And I got snack stuff to kind of keep me from like ordering out and stuff like that. And I got some really good Ritz crackers. They're the, I think, roasted vegetable. I think that's the name. They're either garden vegetable or roasted vegetable. They're on my snack cart. And I got like a cheese tray, like a party cheese tray. And yesterday I had about half a sleeve of the Ritz crackers with cheese on them. And I also got smoked oysters. Y'all ever had smoked oysters? They're really good. It's like, I don't know. It kind of takes me back to childhood. The only thing that would have taken me back more is if I'd have got some Vienna sausages, potted meat, pork and beans, and sardines. Mm. 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 Those were the kind of snacks that my granddaddy would bring along when we go fishing. Mm. Mm. We went fishing all the time together. It was like one of my favorite things to do with my granddaddy was go fishing. Mm. For the longest time, he would bait my hook too. But later on in life, when I would go fishing with my ex-husband, which that didn't happen very often because he wasn't a very outdoorsy kind of person. And then the next guy, he was like, absolutely not. But I would bait my husband's hook. He was like not having it. You know, the crickets were like all smelly and gross. I never really used worms to go fishing. I don't know. I mean, I fished for either like catfish or I think it was like perch. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. Never. I think my granddaddy called it brim. I don't know. I don't know. But you know, we would catch them and clean them, and my nanny would cook them. But so I can fish. That's something I can do. Sitting on a pier or whatever. You know, a sturdy, a sturdy pier. You know. But oh gosh, we went deep sea fishing a couple of times. I mean, not like, I guess, super deep sea, but out in the Gulf, you know, kind of off the coast of, it was like, we could see Pensacola from where the boat was, but we were coming from like Gulf Shores, Alabama. That's where we would, you know, head out into the water. And the first half of the trip, I would spend down in the head, you know, just losing everything. You know, took the Dramamine and all that stuff, but Candy did not have sea legs. Never did. But we caught some really huge king mackerel. Mm. That was awesome. Mm. Mm. And some berries. Mm. Apparently berries and pineapple are good for inflammation. So I've been trying to eat a lot more berries and pineapple. Mm. What is that? Okay, that is definitely a fruit fly. Wow, see, that's what I get. That's what I get. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. Anyway, so those were really good times. Those were good memories of. Mm. Well, didn't really go like the deep sea fishing thing until, you know, the chartering the boat out and stuff, until it was in my teenage years. Mm. My God, those fishing trips when I was a little kid, though, those were some really incredible times. I was always terrified when he would, you know, put the boat in the water. I didn't even want to be in the vehicle when he would put the boat in the water. I would just stand up on the shore somewhere. And he would go to the ramp and drop the boat down in the water. Because I was afraid, you know, the whole thing would just go in the water, you know. I don't know why that was so scary. I loved to swim back then. But once we were out, usually on a river, you know, we might have fished in a lake here and there, but it was like Old River, Pearl River, Titfall River, places like that in Louisiana. And we did a lot of fishing when we lived up north too. Well, not really north, but the east coast. Actually, I'm totally wrong. It was not on the coast. In Maryland, when we lived there, I know he went crabbing, but I was too little to go. I know we went to Florida one time on the Atlantic Ocean side, and he fished out on the beach. Yeah. But it was Shreveport, Louisiana that we lived in for a little time there. North Louisiana. Not up north. And we would go fishing a lot in those days. And I was like 8, 9, 10, kind of in that range when that would occur. The biggest thing I remember about those times is having to get up at like 4 in the morning to get ready to go fishing. That was like, hated it. But once we were out on the water, I really enjoyed those times. Now, the fishing trips that we would go on when I was in my early teen years, like 11, 12, stuff like that, preteen basically, those trips were very memorable because I think it was like Old River. We went out there one time. It was terrifying. I'm just gonna say it was terrifying. Y'all know what a water moccasin is? It's like a cottonmouth venomous water snake, okay? Off of the river, they have these little bayous, you know, little just areas with a lot of cypress trees and cypress knees. And then there's all these little nooks and crannies that you can get into and drop your line and find these little honey holes where the fish just keep coming. Well, one time we got into one of these little areas and it was loaded, like loaded with water moccasins. And these little guys, they were trying to come in the boat. They were like climb. I might have told this story before because it's just such a, God, another one. Holy hell. They weren't in here yesterday. They're going for my fruit. Just going for my fruit. Ravenous little bastards. Anyway, these water moccasins were like trying to climb in the boat, and my granddaddy was trying to like keep them out, and he would take his fishing rod and he'd smack them and they'd fall back in the water. And the funniest thing I ever saw, not the funniest thing I ever saw, but at that particular point in time maybe, was one of these little snakes leaning his head up against a little nook on a cypress knee. And I don't know if y'all know what cypress trees and cypress knees are and what they look like. But the knees are just, they're like attached to the roots, and they come up out of the water and stuff. And I don't know what the purpose of them are, but anyway, this little snake had his head laid up on the little nook. It was just like damn, my head hurts. But needless to say, we got out of that little area pretty quick because I was not having it. I was probably younger than that at that point in time. I was probably like 10. Yeah, I was probably 10, 9, 10. Now there was this one area on the Titfall River. It was like way, I guess you say it's upriver. It was more upriver. downriver, if we followed the river, downriver from where our fishing and hunting camp was, which I got to go hunting a few times. I never really killed anything on purpose. But anyway, upriver, several bends, way the hell on up, there was an area called the Big Eddy. And what that was, it was a bend in the river, and it was just a really big area, almost like a lake, but then the river continued on. And kind of on the edge, they had kind of little swampy bayou type areas. And we got out there and found us what we like to call a honey hole. And we weren't sport fishing. Whatever we caught, we were going to eat. You know, and if we didn't eat it right then, we would clean it up and freeze it. Well, me and Granddaddy, we got into a competition. Because, like, every time you drop your line into the water, something was, like, snatching onto it. And it was grabbing it. And, you know, there's big fish, little fish, just all kinds of fish. It's just, and, you know, they had the little red bellies. And they were just, it was like, we caught 80, it was 75 to 80 fish that day. It was a lot, okay? It was an ungodly amount of fish, you know. And but I won the competition. I was so competitive in those days. I was like, yeah, look what I can do. But we had a good time. Me and my granddaddy, we had so many good times. You know, I was such a daddy's girl. I mean, if he was outside working on something, I was out there just up his ass, just, you know, wanting to know what I could do to help. And for the life of me, I wish that I would spend more time with my nanny. That I'd have gotten in the kitchen with her and learned more about cooking then, instead of waiting until I got married and started trying to cook for my husband. Yeah. I mean, I learned a few things. I mean, I learned how to make biscuits and yeast rolls and things like that. You know, and I could kind of, you know, go from memory. She made, like, fried potatoes, and, you know, she just made all kinds of stuff. She had one of these electric skillets, and she would make these minute steaks or smothered steaks. Use that cubed steak. That's what it was, cube steak. And she would, you know, it was all, you know, tenderized. It was like had like little holes all in it, and she would take and pound it out, you know, just a little bit more, and then she would do the flour and then the bread and then all that stuff, like double flour or whatever, and then she'd fry them up really good, and then she'd make the gravy over the top of them. It was so good. My nanny made some really good dinners. One thing I've been kind of craving of hers that, you know, I didn't really know what it was at the time. It was a pasta dish that now I understand is called American goulash. I mean, she called it goulash, and then I'd look up recipes for goulash, and I would get like a Hungarian type goulash. And I was like, well, that's not what she made. Oh, and there's another name for it, and I'm not sure if I'm correct, so I'm gonna look real quick. Get my phone, but I think it's Johnny Marzetti is the name of it. I think that's just another name for American goulash, but I'm not sure. I know that's what my cousin called it. Johnny Marzetti dish. Johnny Marzetti is an American pasta dish in the cuisine of the Midwestern United States, prepared with noodles, cheese, ground beef or Italian sausage, tomato sauce, May include aromatic vegetables and mushrooms. Okay, well this is slightly different than what I remember Nanny cooking. It's very similar. Let me see. Johnny Marzetti. Oh, okay. Johnny Marzetti versus goulash. Okay. Well, yeah, it's the same recipe. Old-fashioned goulash recipe, Johnny Marzetti recipe. So it says it's basically the same thing. I don't remember Nanny putting cheese on top of hers, though. Okay. Oh, no. Whoa. No. Not American goulash. Well, I guess somebody called it goulash in there. American chop suey. Yeah. Yeah, American chop suey or American goulash or Johnny Marzetti. Anyway, that is a delicious dish. I loved it. I was always happy when Nanny made that. She made all sorts of things. She made a lot of like Pennsylvania Dutch type dishes. She made a lot of Midwestern dishes, Southern dishes. She was just so well-rounded in the kitchen. Oh my God. Rose. Y'all ever get something stuck in the back of your throat when you're trying to eat and you gotta like... That's disgusting. I've done that before. But I mean, it just came out of my mouth, so... Big deal. But... Anyway, God, I miss my grandparents. My mama had some really good recipes too that I loved. She could fry chicken almost as good as Nanny could. But the one thing I really remember her making was her peach cobbler. And I know I could make that again. It used 1 can of peaches, 1 stick of butter, 1 cup of Bisquick, and 1 cup of milk. And a cup of sugar. You gotta have sugar. And what she would do is she'd take like a round glass mixing bowl type thing, which I have one. And it's Pyrex, and I know it would go in the oven. But she would take and put the stick of butter down in the bottom and put that in the oven and, you know, let it melt. It's bubbling and sizzling. And then she'd mix up the batter really good. And then she'd pour the batter into the butter, like right in the middle, so it would just kind of spread out. And then once that was in there, she would take the can of peaches, juice and all, and she would pour that right in the middle. Not mix it up or anything, just right in the middle, and it'll do its own thing. And then before you put it in the oven, sprinkle some cinnamon on it, you know. The only thing I don't remember is the temperature of the oven and how long to cook it. So I'm assuming maybe you would follow the Bisquick directions for that. But it's a recipe that I would have to test. Y'all know I don't need no peach cobbler right now. I'm getting my sugar from fruit if I can. You know, I don't know. Yes, I'm eating fruit. I do eat fruit. I do eat vegetables. I'm feeling like my next shop I want to do like a run of different kinds of vegetables. I'll try to find the easiest ones that I could like fix in the microwave or whatever. Because it's just easier for me right now. I mean, I'm hoping to drop a few pounds, enough to like get my mobility back a little bit. That's like a big thing for me. I want some mobility. I want to be able to like not look at my kitchen and be like, I just don't want to go in there. It's just a few steps too many for me. I mean, I go in there and get stuff out of my refrigerator and freezer right now, but that's not, you know, it's not enough. I think it would help if I had a more comfortable seat in there. I mean, I keep trying to get a good seat. The rolly chair is kind of scary that I've got. It's just such a small kitchen. It's just so tiny. I can't even fit my rollator in there. You know, the wide seat rollator. It won't fit in there, you know. I'm like, damn. It doesn't fit through my bedroom or bathroom doors either. So, I'm like, it's just the way this place is set up. It's not, you know, if I was a person in a wheelchair, I would be SOL as well. Oh, Lordy, okay. I'm looking at this home. I don't know. I'm trying to be engaging. I'm trying to have something to say that means something. But yeah, it sucks not having any family. It's like they all, you know, drop dead, just one right after the other. Like, damn. Okay. You know, and I still talk to my son, so he's about the only, you know, actual family that I have contact with. I talk to my cousin, just one cousin, and she's a distant cousin, but I love her. I mean, I love her so much. She checks on me every now and then, and you know, we kind of have similar health issues, so we can kind of like bounce things off of each other when we're having, you know, particular issues. But I have another group of cousins, my sister aunt, because my grandparents adopted me. My aunt, my mama's older sister, became my sister, and my mama became my sister. So, you know, it sounds like some backwoods country stuff, but it's really not. It's just, you know, so my grandparents thought adopting me would keep my daddy away, and it did. It did. You know, and I'm very, very glad that they did, because when I turned 18, I got a letter from my daddy that was sent to the Ascension Parish Library, where I had my very first job. You know, and he got that through my Social Security number, which somehow he had. And he found me. And he sent me a phone number, you know, and I talked to him on the phone, and the very first thing he did was talk bad about my mama. You know, and that, I never spoke to him again. I never spoke to him again. I mean, you know, it was his choice to leave out of my life, so, you know, and I can understand perfectly well now why my daughter doesn't really like to talk to me very much. She does. She does. You know, I mean, my kids are grown. They're grown people. They're in their 20s, so I know when people think about, you know, well, she's got kids, and they're, you know, they think of like little babies or whatever. It's like they weren't even little, you know. Yeah, they were. They were kind of little when I left, but my ex-mother-in-law, she had because I was so messed up, you know, with my mental health issues and whatnot. I mean, I was becoming a danger, like a literal danger to myself and other people. I mean, it was incredibly ugly. I mean, those babies saw me in all manner of horribleness. You know, just crying and screaming and shaking and rocking. And I mean, literally, if I hadn't left, something really bad could have happened. I mean, and if I hadn't gone where I went, you know, I was either going to the graveyard or to prison or a horrible mental hospital. And I'd been in a mental hospital before, and it was not horrible. It was actually pretty cool. But I was only 15 at the time, so, you know. And it's not like my life was that bad. It really, I didn't feel like it was. Now looking back, it was actually great, you know. I mean, other than, you know, my grandfather, he could be very, very controlling, and he could be, what's the word? He'd pickle a bit, you know, he'd make fun of you. But even though he did that, I mean, I still practically worshipped him, you know, until I became a teenager myself. And, you know, I don't want to bite into my pear. I'll say that for later. Yeah, I became a teenager and all bets were off, you know. What had happened, I think, and why I rebelled so hard as a little one, from like 7, 8, 9, 10, I was allowed to just run free. I mean, run free. I could go anywhere. I'd stay out till after dark. I mean, it was just Generation X, okay? I mean, we were the definition of free-range kids. It was just, I was just out there. And I know I've told y'all this before, but to get me home for dinner, my granddaddy whistled, and he was a very loud whistler. I mean, he just, you know, and I can't whistle for, you know, I can't. But he would whistle really loud, and if I was close enough, I could hear him. But if I was way on the other side of the woods or whatever, and I didn't respond, like, within like 10, 15 minutes or whatever, he would blow this big old foghorn. So I'd know to run home, and I was like, okay, you know, it's over for the day. Yeah, but I was always out in the woods or just running around doing stuff. You know, I didn't even hang with friends all that much. I was just out in the woods doing weird kid stuff. But, so, when I turned 11, I don't know what it was, maybe because, you know, between 9 and 11, I got my girly stuff going on. And I don't know what it was. I don't know what he was afraid of, but somehow the leash tightened. And it was like I couldn't go out. You know, and I don't know. I mean, restriction. I've always fought against restriction. I mean, just always. I didn't like to be told what to do. I mean, it's just who I am as a person. My granddaddy, he was the boss. He was like in charge always. I mean, he was literally the boss at his job. a mechanical superintendent. I mean, he ran the whole thing. You know, he hired and he did the hiring and the firing. And he didn't take no crap off of nobody. You know, if somebody shows up late for work, he would just point for them to go get their check. That was just the way he was. And anyway, so I guess I kind of got that from him. And apparently my mama was just like that in her life. She was like in charge of her life. And her and my granddaddy butted heads probably worse than me and my granddaddy did. That was the problem. We were all too much alike. My problem is I have got too much of my daddy in me. Apparently he was one of those type of people that like to do the easy route every time. And it was not always the right way to do things. Somehow I've kind of made that work for me though. You know, over the years, I mean, and I had help. Because after I left my family situation and my kids were in good hands. They were in excellent hands, you know. My mother-in-law, she had already, like I said, started to take over their care to the point where, you know, people like to say that I left them. And I did, okay? But I didn't want to leave them. And this is something that gets twisted up, you know, really, really bad. I left, but I had every intention of going back. And basically I was told to not go back. That it was just better if I did not. And so, well, I like to say, yeah, I left for their own good. And I did. But I was leaving until I got my head in a better space. But by the time I did, it was too late. So I wasn't allowed to go back. And time passed. And I had an agreement with my father-in-law that it was just better if I ended contact of any sort. And then when I finally got my divorce, it was put in the wording that me and my ex-husband were giving up our parental rights to them. You know, and I was devastated. I really was. I was broken for many years because of that. You know, I mean, my father-in-law, he would send me pictures every once in a while. And, you know, so when people talk about me leaving my children, I get really upset. Because y'all will never understand unless you've been there what that's like. So that's the only that's the thing. That's the thing that was bothering me last time I did a video. You know, somebody said in a video comment that I caught in my held for review folder, you know, and this person had been doing videos about me. You know, and it's not the one you think, it was another one. So I immediately just blocked that person from commenting. I was like, you're not gonna talk like this. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. You know. Anyway, back on a positive note, My kids are doing fine. My kids are great. And we do have some sort of contact. I mean, my daughter's birthday was this month, and, you know, I sent her a little note, and I sent her some money. And she said her 2 words a year to me. You know, but my boy, you know, he calls me every once in a while just to see how I'm doing. You know, he worries about me, and I worry about him. But as far as my other family, my sister aunt and her kids, we don't talk at all. You know, I know they probably watch what I've done over the years and stuff, but she basically left the whole family a long time ago. You know, we have like a real history of mental illness and just full on crazy in my family, and she kind of just wanted to get out of that cycle, you know, that toxic thing that I learned in my life. You know, basically I was taught to be very, very dependent, very codependent. You know, and then became a teenager and just went off the wall. I just went off the wall. I just became an ugly, ugly teenager. You know, and I still feel a lot of guilt for that. You know, I feel a lot of guilt and, you know, for those things and the way I behaved and certain things that I've had to do in my life. I mean, I'm not ashamed of certain things that I've done either. I mean, you know, the adult stuff. I mean, it was just, I learned a new way to live, you know, because the old way wasn't working for me, you know. And then once my partner moved on, and then now is, I should say, not himself anymore. You know, I ended up having to take over the whole business and stuff, and I'm doing everything for myself now. And it's really hard. It's been really, really hard. You know, and no, I don't have the hardest job in the world. It's very, very easy. It's just motivating myself to even get out of bed in the morning sometimes. That's really hard. You know, and to continue living from one day to the next is sometimes very hard. I mean, you know, I spoke on, you know, believing in reincarnation before, and I don't know if I gave the full reason why I believe it. But for me, it's like, I believe that if you check out on purpose, then you get a do-over. And the do-over is going to be worse than the one that you're in. You know, and I tell you what, I'm trugging along to the end because I don't want to check out early and find myself in a worse life than I am right now. And honestly, this life isn't all that bad. It's just the choices that I've made in this life, you know, I've really screwed myself in a lot of ways. You know, and I don't feel like a victim. I know that I made choices that led me to this thing that I have, this lifestyle that I have, you know, but I'm still thankful. I'm thankful for the lessons that I've learned, you know. I'm thankful for the people in my corner. I'm thankful for the loved ones that I do have. And I'm thankful just be here, you know. You know, even though I can't allow myself to go out and experience the world, you know I could go out there. Oh God. I just don't want to. I just don't want to. I was thinking about it last night. It's like I'd like to take my rollator out there and just go walk around and stuff. But I open my door and I look out there and I don't know what it is. Okay, and this might sound a little shady. Holy shit. Freaking moth too. Damn, alright. I God, I got the wildlife in here. The heck is that about? I just had my door open for like 10 minutes yesterday. Oh my God. Okay, my battery's flashing. I gotta quit. Anyway, there's a mess out there. I don't want to roll my rollator out there and bring the grossness in here. Anyway, thank you guys for spending time with me today. I love you very much, and if I got down and back up and down, I mean, that's just the way I am, you know, and I apologize if, you know, if I took y'all on a ride you didn't want to go on today, but I love you very much, and I will see you next time. Bye now.